Welcome again, my brothers. I'm D. This is the Future Fathers FF podcast. Yeah, let's get it. As I'm sure you heard, it's just me today. We got no Nay. That's sad. Yeah, it's only me, just one by myself today. Oh well, do you know what? It's alright. My brother's been up to these things. I'll let him explain that to you when you hear him again. But for now, I just want to get into relationships. I'm talking all kinds of relationships. Reason why is because of the relationships you form that your children see. Yeah. So I've got my coffee. It's morning time. You got to wake up and make sure you got things running. Anyway. So, relationships that we form with our friends, work colleagues, even our partners, yeah? Your children see this, our children see this all the time. They feed off of what we do and how we interact with people in our own circles, and they learn how to deal with people like through those circumstances and through different situations. Me and my brother said this a number of occasions. Your children soak up a lot of the information that they see from you. So it's not a case of just sitting back and saying to yourself, well, I'm doing what I need to do. No. You have to take into consideration your children are sponges. Yeah, we know our children are sponges, but we don't. How can I put this? We do tend to look at things, but we don't tend to look at kind of like the whole picture. It's just a snippet of what we're looking at. Yeah, just in a moment. So, us as parents, we go out, we take our children to school. Believe your children notice how you deal with their school teachers and how you deal with different teachers. They will pick up on that. I'm not gonna lie. When my youths were younger and I'd go to parents' evening with them, they'd see how I talk to certain teachers, like their maths, English and science teachers, always interest. I'm not going to say there wasn't an interest in other teachers, but there's certain circumstances around different teachers teaching your children different subjects and how they deliver their teachings, how they put across what the students are supposed to be learning. And I don't know if it's just me, but I tend to have found that the teachers my sons had maybe 1 and 2 issues with, because they felt like the teacher wasn't treating them properly, or they wasn't treating them like how they would treat the other students in the class. I kind of had a little thing with that teacher as well, because it's like, well, my child is telling me one thing and you're telling me something else. It may not be something completely different, but there's some differentiation in the story. There's some part of the story that it don't line up. Yeah. So I found that those teachers, I was kind of like, I'm a bit wary around how I talk to you, what I say to you, because I don't want what I say to reflect on my child. Because you're in the class with my child more than I see you. So how is it going to affect my child's learning if I say something to the teacher that they disagree with? Are they going to then look at the children and they're like, well, now I understand why you're like that. But on the other hand, you got family members and friends that you form relationships with, that our children see and our children grow from. Obviously, if you got family members that you're close to, your children see that. They know, okay, this is kind of how you act around so and so, and this is kind of how you act around family members. And then on top of that, as I said, you got friends. We've all got brethren, but how do you act around them? How do your children see you act around them? Because I can almost guarantee you how your children see you act around your friends is how they will in turn act around their friends. I'm not going to say it's a definite, they're definitely going to do this, no, I'm just talking about mannerisms and how they portray themselves as, I don't know, what's the term I'm looking for. In a group of friends, you always got let's say the loud one, the quiet one, the good looking one, blah blah blah. But everyone tends to fall into their own category, especially with boys. We kind of tend to know where we are in the hierarchy of the group, and depending on how your children see you in your group, it may well affect how they are with their friends and their group and what position they fall into. But it's easier, so I need a good stretch. Sorry about that. Yeah, I needed that one. Yeah, they tend to look at us and okay, so this is this one, that's that one. They may not know that's what they're doing in their head, but nature takes its own course, you know what I mean? They do what they're doing, they see what they're seeing, and they act on that. This is one thing that we have to remember as parents. Our children see things and they act on them. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's where the saying monkey see, monkey do come from, but it is a relevant saying regarding what I'm actually explaining. Now, you have relationships that you form with people outside of your circle, and these ones are not necessarily great relationships, because obviously your children, they will see things that you do and you may not take notice that they're seeing. But friends, or should I say not friends, acquaintances, or people that you know that you're not too keen on, that maybe you see every so often, or they're a friend of a friend, or maybe even somebody that you work with that you're not necessarily too fond of. Your children will hear you when you come back home and you're complaining about this person. And as they grow, they will then know, because they have seen, and they will copy the fact that I don't like this person. This person's always doing me something bad. This person's always got something to say. And it's funny because I've seen it myself. Like, there's certain things I've said around my children about people that I've worked with over time, and I hear them kind of say similar things about people that they know. And I'm like, how do you know that? Obviously they're watching and seeing other people's relationships, and there's other things that go on in the world, in their house, on their computers, their phones. They're seeing stuff from all over the world, and then they're getting it in their house. It's reaffirmed from their parents. This is what they're seeing, and they go out into the world and they do things on their own. And you find that maybe sometimes you might even see that your child does things exactly the same as you, but because they're not an adult, they can't do it. They can't give the same emphasis. But I'm telling you, it's funny, because I've seen my youths do it, and I'm like, that's a joke. I've seen other children do things that their parents do, and I'm like, oh. So you really, it's literally copy and paste. That literally is it, copy and paste. Because a lot of children might think, oh yeah, it's okay to do that. Yeah, it's okay to say this. It's okay to be that way. And sometimes it's really not. But because of how they see us act as their parents, as their guides, they're like, oh, you do it, so I'm going to do that. If it's okay for you, it must be okay for me. And in all honesty, my brothers, this is why we teach our children to do as I say, not do as I do. Because they will see you do things and they'll be like, oh, that's alright. I see how you talk to so and so. That's okay. But then we also have to remember the relationships they're able to form on their own, and how they act, how they interact with the people that they come into contact with. How do they portray themselves? How do they act around their friends? How do they react to certain things their friends do? Remember, they're going through life as everything for them is a learning process. Every single situation that they get into is an opportunity to learn something from. Brothers, you know as well as I do, certain lessons are not learnt straight away. Yeah? You don't get them. So certain times you have to go through things a couple times, and it may be similar, not exactly the same, but we have to go through things. We have to experience things in order to learn how to form and maintain certain relationships with people, loved ones, friends, and acquaintances. Because there's certain levels, like your loved ones are your loved ones. Like, you keep them close, you deal with them a certain way. There's certain things you can say to them and certain ways you can say certain things to them that other people can't. But brethren, that's different. That's another level. You can talk to them. You may be able to talk to them on a level very close to your loved ones, but it's not the same. And then you've got acquaintances, people that you just, I know them. You're never going to treat them the same way you treat your friends or your loved ones. And then you've got people that, you know, are around, they exist in your life, but you don't really deal with them. They're not acquaintances. There's a certain way you will treat them and a certain level of respect that you won't give them that you'll give in different levels to other people in your life. These are the things that we have to remember. Our children see them. They learn from them. And sometimes they mimic them. Sometimes we might not want them to do the things that we're doing, but we have to remember as parents, you know what, we're the only person that they see that they can learn from. So we have to remember in ourselves, as well as we can, that when we're doing things, our children are around. And if your parents out there that's got your children around you all the time, obviously not when you're working, if you've got a job, but you have to remember your children are there, they see you, they hear you, they know who you are, or as best as they can do, and they will show you exactly who you are in certain situations, because they'll give to you what you give to them certain times. Obviously they're your children, so it's not going to be like you're getting into beef out on the road, but as they grow, you will see exactly, I can't say you will see exactly, but as they tend to grow older, there's certain mannerisms in yourself that you will see in your child, and you'll be like, I didn't like that. And it's only natural. It's only natural. We're their parents. They're emulating us. They want to know how to deal with life through us. They're learning how to deal with life through us. The relationships they form with people will be based on how they see us form relationships with people. So all I'm saying is, my brothers, when you're out or when you're with your children, make sure that your children understand the relationships that you have with certain people, so they don't fall into certain traps with others in their lives, thinking, oh yeah, this is a friend, this one very close, this isn't my brother. We have to teach them how to sift out certain things from certain people in certain situations. It's all well and good us having friends and people around us that we can form relationships with and maintain those relationships. But remember, things don't stay the same all the time. Certain things break down. There's ways to build them back up. But we have to be teaching our children how to navigate this ocean called life. And no, it's not easy. I'll be the first one to say that. You don't know how big my youths are. So I know on some level that this exercise we're going through called parenthood and these exams we're taking, they're random. But preparing our children for later life, being a parent, an adult, a responsible human being, it starts from when they're young and in the home. Because if you're not willing to teach them, I can guarantee you somebody outside of your house is willing to teach them. And they're willing to teach them for free. So my brothers, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it. But as I said, the relationships we form ourselves, our children will see. So they're going to pick up certain things. They might utilize certain things. They may discard some things. But ultimately, it's only us they're watching. It's only us they can watch. So my brothers, What is it today? What is it this week? Relationships that we form with our children and people that we exist with and people we bring into our circle, whether it be loved ones, friends, acquaintances, or people that we have some kind of disconnect with in some way, shape or form. It's our duty to teach our children how relationships are formed and maintained, and even come back from when relationships break down. They see us in the home with either mum or dad, or mum and dad, and they learn how to form relationships, and they see how to work through different issues and problems. Circumstance and situation will come around all the time, but the better prepared they are to deal with these things, the better they will be, and the better things will be for them. My brothers, I've been D. I know you've all missed me this week, but he ain't gone, he's coming back. I beg you, stay blessed.